Get your free copy of the complete tutorial at www.teachucomp.com/free.
Now we will look at the ways that we can alter a pivot table to change what data is displayed and calculated in the pivot table. You can drag and drop fields from the pivot table field list and drop them into the desired area in your pivot table or pivot chart. You may also click and drag the fields that you have added to the pivot table or pivot chart and drop them back into the pivot table field list to remove them. You may also click and drag fields that you have added from one section of the pivot table and drag them into another section of the pivot table to rearrange the data if needed. Also note that if you are constructing your pivot table in the worksheet, that when you click into a cell outside of the pivot table field list will be hidden. You can simply click back into a cell within the pivot table to reactivate the pivot table field list again. You can also filter what information is displayed within each of the columns and rows. Notice that each time that you add fields to the pivot table, the field appears with a small drop-down arrow to the right of the field name. You can click this drop-down arrow, and you'll see a listing of all the unique values within that column or row. Values that are checked will display in the pivot table, and values that are unchecked will be hidden from the pivot table. You can also check and uncheck values in each column or row as needed to display just the data that you want or need to see. When you're finished checking and unchecking your value items in your drop-down menu, click OK at the bottom to set your filter choices. If you want to simply close the menu and dismiss any changes made after clicking the drop-down, you can instead click the Cancel button. You will have to click one or the other in order to retract the displayed drop-down menu.
Like what you see? Pick up your free copy of the complete tutorial at www.teachucomp.com/free.